You're tuned in to Rip Radio Network, which can mean one and only thing. Yes. Welcome. This is Chip Chat. That's what it means.
Yeah, that's what it means.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Chip. Who are you, Tez?
I'm Tez. You just told me.
That's true. Welcome to Chip Chat. We're back. We were remote last week. We were in undisclosed locations.
Yeah.
For various reasons. We don't care.
Yeah.
Tonight,
take a guess.
Is an incredibly. We're not saying.
Yeah.
It's an incredibly special episode. There are a lot of great things to talk about. There's also some not so great things to talk about.
Jesus Christ.
If you're watching on the video, I want you to pay attention to what I am wearing.
Oh, Everton.
My Everton jersey. Today, Everton. We saved our skins. We're still in the Premier League for the next year. Facing relegation, pulled out a win over Palace after being down 2-0. And last week, getting absolutely creamed by Brentford. 2 red cards. First one came in the 18th minute.
I have nothing to say after.
Yeah, you guys were abysmal. Right. And our last game is against you.
It is.
Yeah. So you don't care. I don't understand why Palace was playing so hard after we took the lead. Like we're into stoppage time and they're still desperately trying to score. And I'm like, this isn't going to change your position on the table at all. And why do you want to knock us out so bad?
Like, for those who are unaware, in the English Premier League, the bottom 3 teams
get kicked out. Yeah.
And the top 3 teams
of the Championship League, which is the next league down, they go up.
There
you
go.
Can see, right. So Norwich was eliminated a long time ago. Norwich is one of these like 5 or 6 teams that is perpetually up and down. Right. They're just not quite at the level.
They're like purgatory. Almost.
Yeah. They're absolutely dominant in Championship, and then they are not at the level for this. And then Watford is also in that group, right? They're perpetual up and down. Leeds had managed to stay up for a few years, and now they're down. But it was really the threat was Burnley and whatever. It was. I can't tell you how like the relief I felt over this because
that's a different type of feel. Because then you're out of it. Like for me, it's just like
I don't even know how to watch Championship League. Like I don't even know it's not on here. I said no way to watch this.
There's gonna be so many porn ads you're gonna have to fight through on
to watch
firstrow.eu to try to firstrow.sports.eu to try to get to it. Yeah.
I don't even know how to do that.
I might be speaking from experience where I didn't want to pay for Peacock and
that's fine.
Fight through other types of.
But like it just
just being fucking honest.
There you go. All right.
This dick.
Also tonight we have a guest.
We do
a fantastic guest. His name is Dan Formosa. He's a engineer designer guy. I don't know what to call him. He's like a PhD in ergonomics, but he's a designer. That's what he is. And he has all these really cool videos that he does with Epicurious about where he tests these kitchen gadgets, which I am totally addicted to these videos. I love them. And he's also a baseball nut.
Yes.
And just altogether great. He fits in with our show so well. It's almost hard to imagine somebody being such a perfect guest. Also, of course, we are going to mention it, but I'm just going to give you the preface of it now. There was a mass murderer event this week.
Multiple, right?
There was, but there was one in particular.
Yes.
The authorities were able to take the perpetrator into custody, and I'm happy to report tonight that the fox that ate all of those flamingos at the zoo has been put to death. So that's good. Justice has been served.
There it is.
Yes.
We're still a country.
Saw where that joke was going.
We're still a country.
It was not great.
I was wondering where it was.
Isn't everybody worried about the dead flamingos? We are talking about flamingos, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
I didn't know you cared about flamingos. I didn't even like pink money.
I don't like pink money, but I do like the zoo because
of course,
I was, I
was about to say, I thought you were
when I grew up at the zoo. Yeah. No, that's very true. I lived at the zoo until I was like 7. Yeah. And I'm not like, it's not hyperbolic. I'm not making this up. I lived in the elephant house with Pandu the rhino. So when people are like, were you raised at the zoo? Like, yes, is absolutely true. And it explains a lot. I think. I don't know. Could be a lot of other things wrong. All right. So anyway, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. It's going to be a good show. You got a word?
Yeah, I guess so.
All right, I've got a word. It's going to be very useful for our conversation.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so sit back, grab some
plunder.
It's Peacock time. You're listening to the best show, the only show, Chip Chat on Rip Radio Network.
Sweeps.
Welcome back to Chip Chat here on Rip Radio Network. I'm your host, Chip, with Tez.
Yo, what's popping up?
All right, so the thing we do need to talk about, obviously, is the other mass murder event that was not Flamingo-based. Did take place in a place called Buffalo, but it's not about buffaloes.
No.
So this guy from 3 hours away, near Binghamton, New York, which if you've ever been to Binghamton, I'm sorry. It's a miserable place.
I've never been there. I never will be.
Yeah. There's whole sections of the state of New York that really there's no reason to go there. Like not even to drive through them. And I have. So this kid drove to Buffalo and went to a grocery store and shot everybody. But depending on how dark they were. So like there's even this instance where he like comes up on this one guy who's light enough and he goes, "Oh, you're white, sorry," and he keeps on moving. It's
it's because it's sending a message that's as old as the country is.
Yeah, basically the founding message of the country. Yeah. So it turns out he had gone up there before. He had cased the joint. He had like made maps, detailed plans. He bought an AR-15,
of course,
legally,
right? Of course, right?
Despite having been, detained for mental health issues and some sort of violent stuff when he was in high school. Apparently, the background checks don't catch that. His parents bought him one of the 3 guns that he was carrying with him, although they seem to be trying to distance themselves from this in some way. One of them's a registered Democrat. Not that I think that makes a lot of a difference, but Brian's got breaking news.
Claiming the issue that he had.
No, and I don't give a shit. Okay, what is it?
So the relative said the reason why he ended up doing this was because of COVID.
Oh, right. Yeah, I did hear that. That's fucking.
Oh, yeah. Well, continue. I have comments.
Sorry, this fine young man with bad mental health issues who was failed by his family, who were trying their absolute best to make sure that he lived well, made a mistake, but should be given a second chance or possibly a show on Fox News. Is that what you meant to say? Because that's the narrative. To be very clear, white supremacy is not a mental illness. It's choice. You're a bad person if you are a white supremacist. I don't care. There's not like a, he'll grow out of it. It's not a phase.
Yeah.
And this guy like intentionally self-radicalized. So
yeah.
He saw something he wanted, and that was it. He even talked about in his weird manifesto, like how he chose a different ammunition to put the heavier bullets earlier in the clip so that they could shoot out windows and stuff, and then the lighter stuff later because it's more lethal. He had this very well planned, and he was able to kill a lot of people before being, and I want to stress this heavily, safely arrested by the cops.
So from what I heard, talked down from
he was wearing body armor, he had a helmet.
I thought he wanted to kill himself at the end of this.
He said he was going to kill himself, and they talked him out of killing himself. And safely arrested him. Now, following standard police procedure, they immediately took him to Burger King and then booked him in the nicest cell.
Again, there's so many angles of this story that unfortunately you could try to come from it. I guess where it starts is just that any black person in this country right now, and I don't think it's just this incident, but it's like if anybody is walking around, whether it's hopeless or they, just not necessarily, I don't want to say even numb to it, but just not able to process completely almost like how I am right now, a loss for like words for,
but it's almost a kind of helplessness.
Yeah, but you kind of know, like the words,
but you know where it's
like,
going.
What the fuck is the point of saying the fucking word story? Yeah, so like I look at it like from whether it's a food desert, like right, this is the one grocery store
that they had to work to get put in there. Like that's a good example of the community being able to rally through their elected officials and get this. And
why is
store
that?
There?
Why do we have that?
Why do we have to have that problem? Of course, yes. Yeah, I mean, it's all part and parcel of the same thing. The systemic racism,
right? And then like, who's allowed to buy guns, right? Like. How easy that is, but again, we knew no one cared. Like after Sandy Hook, that no one.
What the party of life didn't care about? All these 10 people that got killed.
I think you even think as well too is like content moderation on the sites that he was on, and like there's so
he was on 4chan. There's no
content, but I'm just saying in general of like as you think of these platforms where people are allowed to go and people talk about law enforcement and people are so and like I took this in at a Nationals game on Saturday, and I just remember they crushed. They were
your phone buzzes and you look
and I'm looking through and like I'm reading and I'm just like, duh. And then you take in just kind of the other pieces of this country where it's like you see a family who's standing in line and then you're just waiting innocently for funnel cake, but like the whole family's wearing like thin blue line shirts and like, all right, well, how does that tie together for me right in this situation? It's like, all right, you're wearing that, but like, where the hell is the FBI, yo? Where's the people? Well,
the FBI apparently is involved. They've got hundreds of messages and stuff. I mean, they're so like.
If we know that this is the biggest threat in this country.
That's the thing is that like we know that this is the problem. The Biden administration names it as a problem. The FBI names it as a problem. And half of the country goes, what are you talking about? That's not a problem. Tucker is on every night saying that there is no such threat as white supremacist violence. Those are direct quotes. He says this a lot. He says they want you to be scared of white supremacist violence. There is no white supremacist violence. And then he laughs that maniacal laugh. It's
3 million viewers a night, right?
3 million viewers a night are being bombarded with this replacement theory stuff that ultimately culminates in these kind of things. I don't know what it's like to be black in America, but I do know what it's like to be Jewish in America. And I can tell you that thing where you're feeling like, it doesn't matter, we're going to get killed. That's a condition of being Jewish. We are basically ready for the Nazis to show up at any given moment and just murder us. And that's going to happen. We know it's going to happen. We can't do anything about it. We're just sort of resigned to it. We're going to fight, but it's probably going to happen. And every time you see one of these things happen, it's yet another instance to remind us that this is going to happen. And what I take from it that bothers me so much, yes, the shooting is the problem. We should talk about the victims. We should talk about, all of the things. But how we got to this is so blatantly obvious. And the resistance, I don't mean just like the cluelessness. I mean outright resistance to doing anything about it, to me, looks like people are not just sort of okay with it, but perhaps in favor of.
And I think that's a through line in this country from the beginning.
Yes.
Yeah, and even when there are steps, right, to try to navigate around that, whether it's right, the Civil War, there's always a response. And that response is always violence. And there's one set of people in this country around the globe who choose violence.
Yes.
They choose violence at every instance. And again, at a certain point, the people who are, and it's not right. As black people in this country, we're going to look at this and we're going to say, all right, this is something that is familiar. It's a familiar thing, right? No matter how much progress has been made, right? There's still that familiarity with these type of events. And at a certain point, people aren't gonna just like, it's gonna come to a head at a certain point. And I don't know what that looks like. I really don't know what that looks like.
I mean, I think that to some extent, the perpetrators of this kind of stuff are trying to accelerate that. They want that. They want that fight, which they think they're going to win. I don't know what the outcome of it is, but I do not want that fight to happen because I think it'll destroy the country and it's going to cost a lot of lives. It's terrible.
Yeah, and because it's happened before,
right?
It's happened before, and I'll let you know as well too. It happened before, and there was one reason why. No matter what your lost causes and all, there was one reason why the other side lost, and again. You'll lose again.
Yeah.
You'll lose again. It's just and maybe again, like this whole replacement theory. People tried to work with y'all.
Right.
It's been tried.
I mean, in some ways, they're sort of doing it to themselves, right? They're sequestering themselves. They're separating themselves from mainstream society. They are revolting against Disney for whatever. I mean, it's like it's all this same stuff.
And why are you? No one was against Disney when they were pushing the most
when they wouldn't let gay people into the parks.
No one was against them.
They were fine with it then. To me. My biggest problem with this is the resistance to doing anything about it. And that takes so many forms. So when you see parents at school boards talking about they don't want CRT in their elementary schools, which it isn't. When you see people protesting the 1619 project, when you see them voting for and electing people who are using the coded language, there is no sort of like casual affiliation with this, right?
Yeah.
Like you're a baseball fan.
Yeah.
I'm a baseball fan, but you know, people who are sort of casual Nats fans, they probably can name like 2 or 3 players, but they don't watch every game. They don't really know how the last 5 games went or anything.
They're not invested.
Yeah. They're casual fans. That's a real thing that exists. You can't be casually white supremacist. And if you're voting for people who are also advancing white supremacy, or if you're watching it on TV, or if you're engaging.
They don't believe in lower taxes anymore for you, right? They don't all these
that
other
was never the case.
But all these things that, conservatism, right? And people voted for like conservative values, which I think it is very tricky in this. Like, because how do you start to address these issues, right? Because people are like, oh, well, go vote. And everybody's like,
yeah, but maybe you can't, or by the time the next election cycle is over, you might be in one of the dozens of states that are now going to let their weird Republican secretaries of state decide the outcomes of the election, regardless of the voters.
Yeah, again, like minority is ruling. The minority is in the
It's apartheid, is what it is.
Yeah,
and it's what I want to stress though is that like there is no graceful, gentle acquaintance affiliation with this. If you voted for Glenn Youngkin, you voted for this shooter. There isn't some sort of mix there, because if they are talking about the replacement theory, if they are talking about rejecting the idea of being taught
history, American history,
anything, they don't want to be taught math. They don't want to be taught anything. It is all part of this same thing, which really at the core of it. And I will, to our liberal friends out there who so few of them watch this show, I'm sure, we have to make sure we stop falling for this dumb trap. There's this dumb thing that we do as progressives where we go, but they said this, and now they're saying this, and those two things are incongruent. That's right. They aren't linear. They don't respect the thing they said 5 seconds ago. For a group of people who are so anti-vaccine, they seem to have developed an immunity to shame, and I don't know how they did it, but these right-wing people can say one thing and immediately contradict themselves for their own expedience at that very moment and feel nothing. And they keep right on moving with it. So if you try to hang them on their own words, stop that shit. They don't care.
And again, it's difficult too, because democracy is kind of like,
it's predicated on that people say things in a consistent manner.
Right. It's all of this stuff is kind of, and especially when you only have two parties. When there are two parties, right? Because one party isn't always going to be in power, and even the party that's in power, based on the structure of the system, they don't really have any
weak
power.
And feckless. Yeah,
it doesn't. So, like, where do you go? Whether it's
they've hacked democracy is what's happened.
Yeah,
the right wing has hacked democracy. They have figured out how to.
So how do you fix that? There's only one when it gets to this point. There's only one way. You
don't want my answer.
Oh yeah, no, but there's only one way. Like, all this stuff has to eventually come to a head. And like in the past, I tried to kind of steer clear like the hyperbole of, oh, we're moving.
The
a lot of people
war.
Yeah, because you don't want it. Because right, others
it's too terrible to consider.
But maybe it's a young country, man. This has not been around a long time. It's nowhere. It's only been a democracy since the 60s.
Yeah, 1965.
Right, yeah, right. I mean, so there's still so much more to be. There's still so much more to unfold. I'm not necessarily hopeless, but I know it's not going to get better anytime soon, right? We have this. I see what's happening around me. I see what's being put in place, like for what? Like obviously, in the midterms are going to be what it is. Like people are frustrated where we're at currently. I mean, I get it. I understand why. I get it why people are frustrated.
Yeah, but they're too dumb to know like what direction they're frustrated. And the reason they're too dumb is because the Republicans have spent the last 35 years obliterating education in this country. It is part of a plan. Okay, it is part of a plan for maintaining power. They are there for the purpose of staying there. They don't have policy. They don't care about any of that stuff. So stop trying to hang them on that. It is not reasonable. And the social media aspect is critical to this because the dude streamed his rampage and only like 22 people saw it. But because of the vast right-wing internet, like I don't know what did Maddie call them, sexual get-togethers? I was going to call it orgy, but that's the thing. So like the vast right-wing internet orgy, they can go from 22 people to millions of people seeing this stuff, celebrating it and lauding it or whatever. They're recruiting in Minecraft for God's sakes, and Fortnite, and they're trying to pinch kids and get them into the fold. They're sophisticated,
and kids are impressionable, and kids want to belong. And
do you know how many things I tell my kids that are utter bullshit? I mean, from Santa Claus on to like, what things are made of. I lie to them constantly because it's very funny.
And you can't discount or use as an excuse the age because right. It's there, but it's...
he's old enough to vote.
Yeah.
He's old enough to go serve in the military. He's old enough to buy a gun, apparently.
Yeah.
He's responsible adult, but not when he does something bad. Then the white supremacist system closes ranks around him and says, this is a misunderstood, mentally ill kid. Right? So, like in Michigan, when the parents bought the guy the guns, that's somehow still just a problem with mental illness. And, we should ask the white working class people how they feel about this. I mean, that's the thing, right?
I forgot. Yeah, that's where
it's sickening and it's insidious and it's everywhere.
Yeah, and again, as a black person in this country, if you wake up the next morning and you hear about this, or in the moment you see it, and it's just like I don't want to say you shrug your shoulders and move on from, because like you hear the stories of these people and like the security guard, right? He
fired back and he got shot.
Yeah, and he was a police officer.
He was.
Right?
The thin blue line, right? Shouldn't they be all upset about this?
He was an officer.
I just did the thing.
Yeah. I
held them to intellectual consistency.
There it is.
Yeah.
And if you feel hopeless, I understand. I get it.
Me too.
I get it.
I feel like our focus on this show needs to shift because we are talking ourselves through an ongoing trauma. It's every single event. It'd be like finding somebody who's getting beat by their husband or wife and like talking to them after each instance and saying like, how do you feel? And they go, well, I expect this is going to happen again. And you go, so are you going to do anything about it? And you go, there's nothing I can do about it. It's just stuck. And that is what we're doing. Every night, every month, every week, we are doing this same thing. We're looking around at the world, and when people go, well, this isn't who we are, you're fucking full of it.
No.
This is exactly who we are because it happens all the time.
Again, in the structure of this house, the bones of this house that we call America, it's there. Like, it's in that. This is how
3/5 of the time.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it, right? That we had to write in the 3/5 compromise.
And shows you college, even you poor white folk, they don't trust you either.
No,
they don't trust you.
They think you're too dumb to make any good decisions. Yeah. And you don't own any land, you dummy.
And now they're able to drive your decisions because again, what this again murderer is fueled on is something that isn't true.
It's just not even happening.
It's not,
but okay, look.
We should be.
If they think it is happening,
yeah.
As the Jewish kid, right? Sure, I'll go ahead and pull the strings. Maybe I can. Maybe you and I are in on it, and we should just go ahead.
Yes.
Let's just go ahead and do it. If they're worried about being replaced, they clearly can't be trusted with guns and stuff.
Here goes the clip we don't need out there.
Maybe we should, in fact, replace them. I'm not saying with what, maybe flamingos, something better, but smarter. I don't know.
There are so many more pressing issues that we all need to be trying to figure the fuck out. And we still deal with
these dead ass birds.
Exactly. And we're trying to figure out the same issues. And again, because it's one set of folks, white people in this country, they're afraid of something that is themselves. They look in the mirror.
That they created.
Yeah, like
they created race, and now they're afraid of what's going to happen with it.
And even more crazy is that some of y'all shouldn't even be y'all immigrants as well too. You don't even.
They don't care.
You don't even tie into.
They don't. Yeah. They don't care.
You're not even white. You're probably Irish, or you're probably Italian.
Right.
Yeah, you're not. That's not a thing.
There's no, or you might be black and you might not even know it.
Like,
unless your name is something running bear, you probably don't get to make a choice here.
Yeah, we eliminated all of them.
An entire like a whole continent, wipe them off the face of it entirely. They don't even have
a place of worship.
No, but Elon's getting Tesla dealers on their reservation, so it's fine now.
It's fine. He touches everything.
Yeah, well, and apparently the people on his airplane. Just to be very clear, that's breaking tonight. Elon creeps on his employees in his airplane. That's apparently the story. We don't have any concrete evidence
speculation.
Of that. We are no. Insider got the scoop. Insider. Yeah, business. Way insider. To go. Let's just go straight to the rundown since we've got our guests. We've beat this one to death. We're hopeless, right? Is that where we are? We've just given up.
This week we'll
feel better. Well, we've got a break the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, and I mean,
but when we come back, we'll have opinions.
Something else will happen in between.
We'll be mad. Yeah, we'll get back to our regular selves. All right. One of the best things about having Tez here is that he is nominally an Englishman.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nominally.
So we're gonna make him use his special powers to do the accent in these quotes. So there was a story from Sky News.
Sky News, yeah.
The sometimes great media organization that does great reporting, like during the war in Ukraine.
And the guy, I was watching the F1. I forgot his name, and he was on the track, and he thought that this prospect for the NBA was Patrick Mahomes, and
that's true. And he wasn't.
He was not.
No. But also they do stories like this. Calling someone bald at work is now sexual harassment, an employee tribunal has ruled. The decision relates to a claim brought by Tony Finn against West Yorkshire-based British Bung Company, which is a fantastic thing to get to read on the radio.
The British
Bung Company, where he worked as an electrician for 20 years before he was fired in May. he complained that he was a victim of sexual harassment due to comments made about his lack of hair, including someone calling him a
bald. Beep.
Yep. By a supervisor. Describing the argument, Mr. Finn told the panel,
I was working on a machine that had to cover a weighting specialist repair. The covers were taken off, and it was apparent that Jamie King had done this. When I spoke to him about it, he began to call me a stupid, bald C-word.
Right.
And threatened to deck me.
Yeah, that's good. That was very good. I'm impressed. Yeah, that's pretty good. So, you know, the guy who called him bald is 30 years younger.
Look,
so, you know,
bald,
of course, yeah, you're old, you're bald. It's gonna, I mean, it is what it is. He said he was fearful for his personal safety. Now, I personally have no idea what it's like to be bald.
Yeah, I do.
But yeah, and we have Brian, and you know, do you feel like it's sexual harassment?
No, this is what, again, our court system's everywhere.
Well, this is Britain, but yeah.
What do you think our court system is based off of?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Mr. Hale and his witch trials.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, cool. That's fine. Thanks, Alito.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, it's the same thing, right?
Same thing, man.
All right, but I make fun of you for being bald.
Yeah,
Are you feeling, is this a problem?
This is the problem, and this is a tale of usually two Americans. This is a tale of two Britons right here. Because black people who are bald, yeah, it's okay. We pull it off. It's all right.
You can shave your head and you look cool.
Yeah.
White people do it. They look like a big penis.
Yeah, or someone who, well, white people always look like they want to kill other people, but
well, they look like skinheads.
They look like a skinhead. Yeah, they look more so.
Yeah.
So I don't like. Yeah, even like the DeMarcus Cousins and the W.E.B. Du Bois bald, like just at the patches, we still can pull it off. It doesn't matter.
Also, big advantage in soccer because it gives you a little grip on that flick on.
Yeah,
you know, his hair is not good. I don't know why. We watch a ton of soccer. These guys, you know, because they have to wear these uniforms, basically the only method of expression they have is their hair. That's a big deal.
And the ones who are bald are no longer bald.
Yeah, but right. but soccer players love their hair. They do all kinds of stuff. You know, you could pick Mane out from 1,000 yards away by his hairstyle. You could pick Ronaldo out from a mile away by his hairstyle.
Kelly was like that as well.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, all of these guys, or Fellaini, or I mean, like, you know, there's this sort of famous hair, right? Alex Iwobi on our side, you know, it's big hair.
Iwobi on your side.
Yeah, but you like that? Yeah, he's on our side now.
He is on your side.
He's a toughie. So, but this is a disadvantage on a flick because you don't have the grip. You don't have the control. I'm saying from personal experience. I do not feel as confident as somebody with a bigger forehead. Just saying. Okay. Finally, the other story that we have, speaking of soccer, see how I did that? I'm very smart. Finally, equal pay for soccer for the men's and women's national teams. Now, this is a long time going.
Yeah, and they did this in a very interesting kind of way.
Yes, which we'll get to in a second. But basically, the idea is that the women's team, which is successful and wins a lot, gets paid next to nothing. And the men's team, which is terrible and often doesn't even make it into things, right, gets paid a lot more. And that's not reasonable, and it makes no sense. And the arguments against it by USA Soccer were even dumber. They were like, well, the endorsements aren't there. We don't make as much money on these games. And like, you're not a profit-making operation.
And I think they were even trying to say that it was almost like that women, like almost like the action of playing soccer
is a little less valuable.
Yeah.
They're like, look, this doesn't get the audiences. It's not as important.
Which is almost like a step below like the NFL saying like the whole cognitive thing.
Yeah, right. Well, black folks are already cognitively
already stupid. Why would we
why do we care about what they have?
CTE doesn't get mad,
right? So, but okay. So, what did happen with the pay equity?
To my knowledge on this story here is that they're gonna change it where there's a pot of money.
Yes.
And then with that pot of money, they're gonna, I think 10% is gonna go to, I forgot who it is, like to the Unite, like the soccer fund.
Yeah.
And then it's gonna get split down the middle, 50-50 from that, which I guess before, I forgot the exact numbers on that, but again, the men were bringing in more money. That's just all now going to go into that same pot.
Right, but thinking in terms of like, say, college sports, right? You know, football and basketball bring in all of the money and they support literally the rest of the athletic department. It is, again, not a profit-making operation. It is there for the advancement of soccer in the United States. USA Soccer is not for profit. It is a 501c3. It should not be making money, and it should be paying people for their contributions. And specifically because the men's soccer team is hard to watch.
Yeah, and
I don't
they
enjoy
should get
them.
paid more. Obviously, that's what the biggest thing. I mean, that's the real story.
I don't enjoy watching the U.S. men's national team. All they do is make me nervous because we're always on the edge of like not getting in. You know, we need to like win this game in CONCACAF and then have Trinidad pull something out somewhere else. We're like, you know, it's not going to happen, and like we're just bad. Whereas when I watch, you know, now Carly Lloyd finally is retired, but when for 15 years, I'm watching Carly Lloyd and Abby Wambach and Meg Rapinoe, and like I'm tuning in because I'm expecting a win, and I like to see USA win stuff.
And it's good for the world game, for women's world game as well too, because like I think even friggin' women's in Barcelona, I feel like it was a while back, they sold out.
In other countries, women's sports is a real thing.
Yeah,
that's why Brittany Griner's in Russia.
Yeah.
Okay, like when I was in Ireland, it's prime time and women's soccer is on. It's not on like on some backward ass channel. It's on like they've only got 6 channels in Ireland. It's on the top channel. It's on RTE1. They're watching it and they're talking about it and they know everybody on it. And that's why I talk about Julie Ertz's husband.
I like to add.
Brian has thoughts.
Yes, I like to add, like today, happening here, someone I work with on occasion, Christy Winter Scott, and she was on Sports Talk 980 this morning, and
The much less popular radio station.
And she was talking about, mind you, initially about the Mystics and how they were doing and things like that. And then when the questions went to talk about,
you mean WNBA champions? Yeah, sorry.
A couple years ago,
but yes, recent champions.
Down's back.
Yeah, but they end up talking about the NBA playoffs and things like that. But the cool thing was how she reverted back to talk about the Mystics, or even just say their name, any player that was on there, and things like that. And the thing is I think a lot of people in America have this notion that women are only good either on their backs or in a kitchen. And that's it.
That's ridiculous.
And
Supreme Court feels that way too.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. So I think now, in a sense of this ruling and hearing and seeing the WNBA and thriving and wanted to continue to thrive and wanted to see it expand, like the Women's Soccer League, they expanded recently. So seeing this proves to the fact that like women's sports has a voice. They have significance. It's not just something they have
fans. They have fans
who
watch and pay money to watch them. I mean, we were talking
to it's bad. Yeah, that's what we were talking about last week.
We talked about last week when we were talking to Lois Cook, who plays for the DC Divas, like women's football.
I know that young lady is.
Yeah, I got her off of your Instagram. That's fine. But like
that is. Oh yeah, you did get hacked. Yeah.
Don't go to Brian's Instagram.
4X, baby.
Yeah, right.
He's telling you I can get a BMW. I can trade in my bus metro walking for an actual BMW. That's what I was like, what the hell's going on?
And I thought he was kind of a computer genius. And he got hacked. How pretty was she, Brian?
Bad password.
No,
no, that's what Trump was.
How pretty was the DM that ended up hacking you?
Yeah, tell us how you got it.
Oh, well then we'll talk about that off air.
Yep, all right, cool.
Okay, speaking of which, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take a break. When we come back, we're gonna talk to our guest, who I'm gonna get a little ahead of myself, is big into gender equity. This is one of his big things that he's been working on in design. So it's an important thing that we need to talk to him about.
Blender.
Yeah, right. Women need to use blenders too, as it turns out. Did you know that? Women like blended drinks. They like smoothies. Who knew? I mean, I certainly don't ask them things or care about their opinions, but turns out they have them. Did you know that? It's remarkable. Okay, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
Woman on the show.
You're listening to Chip Chat on Rip Radio Network.
Sweeps.
I'm so grateful to be alive, but alive ain't always living. Sometimes niggas just survive day to day. Plate to plate, 2 pieces of fries, or the steak with leaves on sides. Sometimes low and sometimes high. I'm so thankful for these people by my side, but I know what I done wrong, trying to be what I done right. Niente cuatro, siete días, mi oh my. You can keep the feast in mind, I just want my peace of mind. Oh yes, so it happens. Go from FOMO to ever wasteful doctor. Manhattan, present the elegance of pain, the posture, the passion, the rebirth, the passing, the green earth, the massing. Open these palms of mine, let the stars align. Had to work hard to see the God in me, but I know it's time. If you trying to get up top, you're reaching. You said I'm trying to peak the mountain too. Fair they happen.
Oh, that's Tez. I'm out of my rhythm now.
This is so abrupt.
Yeah. All right. So, Dan Formosa is a world-renowned designer, ergonomics scholar, and likely has contributed to your life in profound ways that you might not even know about. Do you ever use anything from the folks at Good Grips?
I'm pretty sure I have.
I'm sure I've got tons of their stuff. That's him.
Yeah.
He made all that happen. Now he's making videos with Epicurious, which is fantastic, where he tests out all kinds of kitchen gadgets and offers his various improvements, which I love these videos. I cannot get enough of them. He's also got a lot in common with us.
Yeah.
It turns out. So he probably should be on this show, which, as it turns out, Dan, welcome to Chip Chat.
Hey, happy to be here. Move over, get me another seat. I'll be happy to join.
It's open
It's
for
right
you.
here.
It's right here
Yeah.
for you. It's right there.
So, first of all, we want to point out that you are a baseball guy. We are baseball guys. Now, admittedly, as Orioles and Nats fans, I wouldn't call what we do currently baseball.
We beat the Yankees.
We did beat the Yankees.
Yeah, I was
today.
like,
The
you
Orioles
beat the
beat the Yankees
Yankees
today, but that, it's that thing where like even the best teams only win 2/3 of the time.
Look, they're talking about trading Soto, so that's the talk in that town.
Well, don't worry, the learners won't own him much longer. Anyway,
No.
so it'll be fine. But anyway, had you designed any way to deal with the profound sadness that the Orioles bring me? Or could you?
Was that to me? What?
Yes.
Great, that's a better
You're the
response.
genius.
Do you want me to answer that?
Yes.
What, the Yankees are on a streak? You're feeling like downtrodden? What's going on?
Well, so the Orioles are bad, and they have been bad for basically most of my life, and they just make me sad. And I want a gadget that makes me unsad about the Orioles.
Oh, wine opener. How about that?
Yeah, I watched that video. It was very good.
I had a bad job.
He had this one with the fish.
Yeah.
It was a fish that opens wine.
Yeah, you can't go wrong.
Can't go wrong, right?
Can't go wrong with that. That's like the fish that sings.
It's also good. The Billy Bass.
Yeah, the Billy Bass.
All right. So I got to ask you about these videos. How did you start making these videos with Epicurious?
Well, about 3 years ago, I got an email out of the blue asking if I would come in and do a video for Epicurious. So it was the summer, and I'm thinking, I don't know, I'm busy, blah, blah, blah. So the first thing I did was Google Epicurious, like who is Epicurious? Right. Yeah.
Magazine, people read it.
Yeah, and it took like 2 or 3 weeks before I actually said, oh, okay, what the heck? It's summer. I'll take a day off and go in and do this video. And it was fun to do. And it did bizarrely well for something that was so ad hoc and just so totally improvised.
What was the first gadget that you tested in that video?
Oh, I think the very first one we did was slicing gadgets. Gadgets. It was one episode that we shot on one day.
It's
and it was slicing gadgets
on the mandolin or whatever.
Yeah, things like that. And it did crazy well. I was actually traveling with my wife Natalia. We were actually in Las Vegas at a trade show actually, and the video was launched. And they said, "Oh, look, it got like a couple hundred views, and it's great, And then looked again a couple of days later, it was up to like 100,000 views. I'm going, whoa, there must be a problem here with the way they're counting. And eventually it came out to, boy, I think it's like up to like 7 million views for that first video, which boggles my mind for something that seems to me to be like a home movie. I will say that, so if, they've invited me back. I said, should I do it again? I don't know, what the heck. And I think to date we have like a total, we have a lot of episodes by this time, but to date we have like over 40 million views. And again, it boggles my mind.
Like 2 million of those. I'm watching them all the time. What? So,
well, I'm thinking like a big part of my audience is from ages like 7 to 12. So
that might be, that fits in with my mental capacity. I mean, I went to culinary school. I used to cook professionally. I don't anymore. And I am a boiler engineer by trade. So like, this is about as up my alley as you could possibly get. And it is, you're really good at drawing these things and explaining design details that I think most of us, like, I interact with the design world. We all interact with the design world, but we probably take a lot of it completely for granted and don't really think about that everything is designed. Like, have you ever listened to the podcast 99% Invisible?
Yes.
Roman Mars. Right. So that's like a good way to get this idea that like, oh yeah, nothing that you touch or interact with is accidental. It is all designed. And then you find bad design and you go, how did that even happen?
Well, Dan, one thing I saw that you said is that like products can be well engineered, but not well designed. Can you kind of tell the listeners what you mean by that?
Explain that.
Yeah, funny, because I just got invited to give a talk or a workshop at a medical device conference coming up in September in Boston. And while Epicurious is all about kitchen things, I design a pretty wide range of things as a consultant. I'll design for anybody basically as a consultant. But yeah, well engineered, not well designed. There's so many products out there that work if you read the instruction manuals and memorize them. And there's so many things also that physically may work. Medical equipment is a really good example. They just don't fit the body, or they're not that easy to figure out or not that easy to understand. So that's the difference. I give a lot of workshops to companies and groups, and of course schools too, to talk about basic biomechanics, how the body works. And I will say that in most design programs, product design programs in the country, and many engineering programs, while they will understand all they need to know about engineering of different types of materials, they don't understand engineering of the human body. So I talk about things like how the hand works, because something could be well engineered from an engineer's point of view. But if you try to hold it or squeeze it or touch it or manipulate it or whatever you have to do with it, it just doesn't work. And of course, the other thing, it doesn't work for everybody. Right. So one of the things I like about the Epicurious videos is I usually put in a plug in every episode that these things need to be designed for the spectrum of people, not for the person in the middle.
Oil test is like the thing, right? I mean, that really does reveal the design flaw wherever it is.
Oh yeah, and that's just, it was a silly thing. The first call I got from Epicurious, I was talking to the producer, and I said, well, sometimes what I do is I tell people to design groups, just like if you want to really simulate in a very seat of the pants way. I mean, this is not design research as we know it, but what I say, if you're really in the middle of or in the birth of conceptualizing an idea for a product, just kind of challenge yourself by making your non-dominant hand slippery and see, because it's going to reveal things. And of course the producer's going, oh, that will look great on video. And now people just think that now just people think I bathe my hands in oil 24 hours a day. They say, well, your skin must be wonderful. And actually doing it's a rare event when you're actually in that part of the project, if it happens at all. but it is a really quick test, and I guess it does make a video. And in terms of this, these quick videos that we do in Epicurious, it is a very quick way to figure out what's working and what doesn't work.
Early on in 2020, I also saw, I think it was in Fast Company, you had thoughts on the design of the N95 mask. And you were talking kind of ways of like rethinking it. And I was wondering if you could share a little bit about like just that article and why you kind of wrote that, because I thought it was really actually profound.
Yeah. A couple of years ago, I worked on an N95 mask, designing an N95 mask with a team of people. And it was for a company called Cardinal Health. And we designed a pretty good mask, actually figuring out how faces work and how the contours work and cheeks and noses and what happens when you open your mouth, and just making the mask flex along with the body. Now, at the time, surprisingly, we visited a lot of hospitals, me and the other people on the design team. We couldn't find anyone who wore an N95 mask because they are uncomfortable and they're hard to breathe through, and they're more expensive than traditional surgical masks. So the hospitals didn't stock them. The people surgeons, surgical teams we talked to, they never wore one. I think we, out of 20 or 30 people we talked to, we found one person who wore one once. And so we're saying, I don't think there's a business in 95 masks. Why don't we make a good surgical mask? Because this is really the bulk of things. But we ended up designing a very decent N95 mask that really covered. Now, the trick is you need a lot of surface area in order to breathe through the N95 material. As well, same thing for a surgical mask. But we designed a pretty good one, but there was really no market for it at the time, surprisingly. Of course, there is afterwards, there has been in the last couple of years. Yeah. But yeah, it's interesting. You can walk through a hospital and point to things that have not been rethought in decades.
Sure.
It is really fertile ground.
Boiler room.
You know what?
I can do that in a boiler room. I mean, there is this prevailing thing, I think, in every piece of the designed world where this is how we do it. And so that's how we just keep doing it. And if anybody goes, why? Somebody goes, well, it's just how it's always been done. And you go, that's not a reason.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's fertile ground for innovating, right? Things that people don't think should be designed or need any redesign or never even thought about it. It's been around for so long that no one has ever rethought it. That's very fertile ground. And the hospitals and medical equipment is a good example of where that could happen. Even around the kitchen, there are still opportunities to find things that people have not touched, hardware stores, etc. So yes, a lot of opportunity to make things better and make a mark on the world, at least a tiny mark on the world, by rethinking things.
Dan, what's the top 3 worst design products in the last 20 years?
Oh wow, good question.
Oh, that's a good question. Boy, the top 3.
Give me 3, 2, 1. Give me 3, 2, 1 if you can.
Oh God, I got to think, because I'm so tainted with Epicurious. The whole premise of Epicurious is they find the weirdest gadgets and they spring them on me.
Yeah, right? I was going to ask you about that, but okay, good.
All right, well, you know what? Top 3 that Epicurious is giving you.
Yeah.
Oh boy, there was a corn cob. What do you call it? A thing that takes the kernels off of a corn cob.
Okay.
Okay.
And it just didn't work at all. It just did not work at all.
I find the little corns that you poke into the corn cobs like top 3 best things over the last.
That's a great design. Really well.
Funny enough, I have a set of those, and it goes back to childhood. That I think I've had these things. I think I still have them.
They need to be redesigned. Even the corn pattern gives it that knurled feeling, so you can grab it. It's brilliant.
Yeah, and I do think it is some form of psychological test to figure out how people go through the corn when they eat it. Go around that way, or you go across?
Father mapped it out. He decided, he was a physicist, so probably this is why he did this, that there are 48 ways to eat corn. That you could either do rows, rings, or helixes, and you could do it in going left to right, right to left, and then you could turn away from you or turn towards you. And these all permutated to add up to 48 different ways. And at no point did he consider that random was one of the choices. He could not conceive of the idea that somebody might just haphazardly eat corn. Well, that you might eat a ring first, and then you might
come
eat a
to the other
row, and then
side,
you might,
yeah.
just taking bites out of it randomly. But if you watch a kid eat a corn cob, they just bite it randomly. Like they don't have this.
Yeah, I think I'd be into the helix. I
Yeah,
kind of like that idea.
The helix seems a little random.
So we have we got the Colonel stripper, I guess is that.
Yeah, the Colonel stripper.
What else?
Colonel
Yeah, I
stripper.
was thinking the other. Actually, I was thinking this morning that I once had a cell phone that beeped when you put it on silent.
Yeah, that's really good.
I mean, this goes back a ways, you know. I also think I bought. This goes back a ways, I guess, but they still cling in memory, which is why maybe I think they're the worst thing in the world. There was a VCR whose instructions to set it up came on on tape.
On a cassette, yeah.
On the cassette.
I could see that coming.
Yeah, but there are a lot of boy. It really is a long list. I know you said 3, but I got to think about it.
That other one's one and two.
But it sort of gets to the idea,
exactly.
right? So in one of the videos, we learned that you're not a coffee guy. I am also not a coffee guy. I have probably had maybe 6 cups of coffee my entire life. Tez is very much a coffee guy.
My daddy's a Cuban. So,
yeah, right.
Oh, yeah.
And my mama's side is Jamaican. So
you have no choice here.
Yeah, exactly.
And as we discussed, coffee may or may not have led to the creation of the United States, for better or for worse.
Yeah, civil society, boiled drinks.
Right. Well, not just boiled drinks, but caffeinated boiled drinks.
Exactly.
These guys are sitting around in the coffee shop, at Lloyd's of London, getting completely hopped up and like coming up with these ideas.
Different show.
All right. What is the design solution for us as being opposite sides of this? And why is the answer beer?
Oh, well, the answer is definitely beer. But what time you guys got started in the morning?
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah. I don't know. One time it was like 11 o'clock or whatever. No, 9:30, whatever we were on. Yeah, we were at 9:30 in the morning. So
I'll tell you lately what the secret to life is that will solve your problem is matcha.
Yeah. Oh, I do love that. Well, the thionine, the L-thionine and the matcha, I get that in a pill now. But even my energy, the thionine, but you got to have caffeine and sugar to make it activate. So it's in energy drinks now too. Which makes them dynamite. Crosses the blood-brain barrier, makes you feel way smarter.
Give some to Tez.
Matcha drink.
Yeah, matcha's wonderful, but it's very bitter.
It is a bitter,
yeah. I had like a matcha lemonade. I like bitter. That's good. Okay, you have a project to help designers and companies think about gender and how they design things. As you probably heard earlier in the show, we were talking about pay equity, with the soccer and all that stuff. So tell us about the 4B Collective and, what is this idea really about?
Well, the whole world of design and engineering evolved from a male point of view. So first of all, let me start that. A lot of companies have a lot of opportunity to connect better with females, and they're failing. And we're talking about hardware, sports equipment, automobiles. There are a lot of companies that really could click better as a brand with females. So I've been designing for long enough to see a lot of that happen. And when you really do some introspection, you realize that, well, maybe the idea is not just design products for females, but maybe think about the way we design things. Because, as I said, the world of engineering, starting from the 1930s, was all populated by men, and the field of design, starting from the 1930s,
with weird ties and very thick glasses. I don't know why that rule came into being, but like nobody was allowed to wear a hoodie or a sweatshirt or anything. Like, oh, you're an engineer. Here's your glasses and your pocket protector, and off you go. Okay, continue. Sorry.
Yeah, well, the way we design things is the way males would do it, which is fine because males, it evolved from a male point of view. But, today you get females in the field of engineering or design, and they feel uncomfortable. There's something not quite right. But you have to realize that the way we design things or the way we engineer things is in itself a design. Somebody made up the way we're going to put projects together, hold meetings, think about things, talk about things, do our research, etc. So the thought about 4B is, why don't we just change that? And it doesn't have to change radically, I don't think. And it hasn't been changing really radically, but it's been changing enough, like introspection, to say, well, let's think about different ways that we can approach projects. And
So what's
it
an
is,
example of something like that?
well, it is a lot more collective. The way we work is 4B collective. And the way we work is, instead of a fixed group of people, we actually call, sort of through a network of people, we call in people who are really good at things and are passionate about things. So we don't put just anybody on a project. We put together these teams of people who are really passionate, whatever the topic may be. And in doing that, we also get a lot more, I guess, interest from interested parties, experienced people working on the projects, but also there's a lot more humanizing. It's like people who understand that people are using these products and who have a lot more empathy for people. There is a lot of difference in the way, for instance, women shop and men shop.
Yeah.
And boy, when I give these lectures, I show a picture. If you ever Googled women shopping and you ever Googled men shopping, women are shopping in groups, men are shopping alone. It just comes up on Google Images. It's a hunt and gather thing. And I also point out that adding females to a design team, an engineering team, does not make it female friendly, because you're still working in this male dominated culture, or male evolved culture. So it's almost like you're inviting females to your hunting party.
Right.
It doesn't really make it female
Well, and
friendly.
if they're being successful in the engineer field that is so male dominated, they might still be designing basically male stuff. If that's not the right word for it, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, and also there's a sense that they kind of have to act like the males in order to,
so ridiculous.
to survive. So what that means is, when you get into the fields of engineering professionally, in the design schools or engineering schools, the gender mix is about 50-50, but in practice it can be more like 80-20, 80% males, and the females just drop out, or they don't feel comfortable. There's something wrong. All that being said, I think it's ready for disruption, whether I do it or not.
So
I think the whole idea is just ready for disruption. There's too many STEM programs going on,
and also we're losing ideas, right? Because if we don't have
50% of the population is not contributing,
in there contributing to it, then we're missing out on something.
We're intentionally skipping stuff. Imagine you watch the record and you're just like, you know what? There's 12 songs on this. I'm going to listen to 6 of them, no matter what, and just delete the other 6. And you're like, why?
It's insane.
Dumb way to listen to a record.
Hey, you want to see that happen to an extreme? Look at countries where females are not allowed to go to school,
right,
or join the workforce.
Right. It's
so dumb.
It's so stupid.
None of those countries' economies are booming.
No,
not one of them.
No, and also France, their economy sucks because they're late and they're always on vacation.
By the way.
Yeah. So one of the things we know you helped design is the interface for the XM radio stuff. So I have various XM radios over my various cars that I've had, and I find this thing where I turn the dial and it shows me the thing, and then I got to push. I don't know if that's you, but it is very clumsy and I hate it. And so I'm going to hold you responsible for it. And can you fix my XM? Because I don't like the way that it works.
No, I don't know what it's like now, but initially, well, I'll go way back with XM. So I was working with my group, Smart Design in New York, design group in New York, and we got a request to design a concept car radio for XM. This is when they were AMRP, ARMC, whatever the parent company name was initially. Yeah. It was not called XM.
Right.
And it was a concept radio so that they can get investors so that they could launch a satellite. So we did a concept there where it really was the idea was, if you're going to have 100 channels, you can't use a regular car radio. You got to do some sort of speed dial or something. But we also named XM in a strange way. You want to hear that story? Because
yes,
when you make a prototype
on XM, because we're ready.
When you make a prototype, it really helps to put a logo on it,
right? Because
it looks real. If you make a prototype, and what I mean is really an appearance model of the thing that looks like the radio, but it's just made out of wood and plastic and whatever. But it looks like it's like a concept car that doesn't work, right? Yeah. When you do a thing like that, you have to put a logo on it. And it didn't make sense to put AMRC, and I may get those letters wrong, it didn't make sense to put it on because they knew that was not going to be their name. So I was working with an engineer called Clay Burns, and Clay came over to my desk one day and he said, well, what are we going to do for a logo? I said, I don't know. We have to make one up. So Clay came back and he said, well, I have an idea. There's AM and there's FM. What if we call it XM? Now, Clay was heading another team that was working on a project for Burton Snowboards.
Okay.
So they were into the X Games and extreme sports. And so he had the X thing in his mind, right? So he came, so he came over. What? There's AM, there's FM, there's XM. I'm going, no, that's stupid. That doesn't stand for anything. Like, so I'm nerdy enough to know that AM is amplitude modulation
and frequency modulation.
Yeah. And I'm going, what's that stand for? Extreme modulation? What's that?
X is unknown.
What is that? What is
it? Becomes the tagline though. It's beyond AM and FM. It's XM.
Yeah, it's XM. So, but I said, well, what the heck? It's only 2 letters. We can make a quick logo. Blah 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 blah. And we didn't name it. I mean, we named it on the thing, but somehow that name lingered in people's minds. And when they hired an agency a while later to come up with the name, that one not known to us, that was still in the mix. And it actually seemed to do pretty well. So, the name came out by chance. We designed a radio called the first radios for Delphi. Now, what happened? XM, they started trying to use car radios. They were looking at Sony was making one, but you can't do like 100 stations with a 6-button push button thing.
It's very difficult. I struggle with it all the time.
So we came up with this thing that had a speed dial, like a speed wheel, which you see in a lot of audio equipment, or at least professional audio equipment or video equipment, where you just like speed through the channels.
Receivers use that.
And I don't know what the current radios are doing actually, but it did really well because we designed this radio that was manufactured by Delphi, and it actually boosted. The subscriptions for XM went like that when that radio was introduced. They just skyrocketed and did really well. The Wall Street Journal ran an article and now it's time to get satellite radio because of this thing gives you access. But 100 channels is very, very different than 6 channels.
So can you get us on XM?
Oh yeah, I got a lot of pull.
Yeah.
No, no, I don't.
No.
I could try Epicurious for you.
Right. Well, I want to be on one of these videos and test something with you because, I have some actual cooking experience. I would be really interested. I mean, I have this frustration all the time that I work with mechanical equipment that is designed by these engineers who never have to fix it. And I'm like,
oh yeah.
If you assholes would just put an access panel instead of riveting your damn oven closed. Why would you do that? You're so confident that your thing will never break, that nobody will ever need to get in there. Why don't you just screw the thing closed so I can take the screws out and get into it?
Dan, I'm in IT, and the one that's always kind of really upset me lately, and Apple has usually been good with design, but their the wireless mouse that they provide, the charging of it, you have to plug it in at the bottom. You can't use it while it's charging, where you can do for the keyboard and for the trackpad. So it's trash design.
Apple, they're bad at their job too. You should do an Epicurious where Dan makes Apple stuff better, but instead of like Apple stuff, he should use real apples and then just like carve the mouse out of like a Macintosh.
Yeah, that's within theme.
Sure.
Dan, how do we feel about the Sunday night broadcast for baseball and they're talking to players during the game?
Yeah, good question.
Oh, MLB is trying to speed up the game.
They are.
I think that is the opposite thing of what baseball is about.
Right.
What you want to do is slow the world down. What you want to do is you want to see somebody throw 3 balls out, far out of the strike zone, right? It's part of the ceremony of baseball. It's part of sitting back and just let it happen. I was watching a Yankee game, like one of the first Yankee games in the season, and we went into an extra inning and they put the runner on second base.
Ugh.
And I turned it I turned it off.
I
mean, cheating.
Yeah. It's as if the Astros are somehow in charge of baseball now.
They don't talk about Rob
Manfred. It's so anti-baseball. Like
I'm in the middle of all this because I do agree with this.
I feel like the DH for everybody.
Yeah,
I know Brian doesn't. We had a whole argument about this,
Like,
but it's because they saw Ohtani and they're like, oh, that's the way to go.
yeah, I don't know where we go with it because I there are certain times where I feel like I'm the old man on the porch. Like, why the hell are they changing?
Yes,
shit?
you are the old man on the porch.
And then sometimes like, I don't know. They were talking to Lindor and like he made like a catch during like he's like, hold on 1 second, like made a catch.
Yeah, they were. I've seen a number of those where like they were chatting with Manny Machado and he was like, guys, I gotta go. You know, like it's that.
They were like, we're gonna let you hit now. He was going up. Lindor's going up to hit him when he's like, all right, we'll get off now and we'll let you go and hit the back.
I think that's got to go. I don't like it's bad because what's gonna happen? They're gonna be chatting away with the booth and miss a ball.
But I also feel like here we're a repressed country with baseball. Everybody else seems to have fun with their baseball. I don't want to have fun still. I just want to have fun.
Yeah, I'm in for like bad flipping and like, you know, more you should get to smile when you hit a homer. Like all of that should be fine. But I don't why are we trying to speed up the pitching thing? The battle between the pitcher and the hitter is the reason we watch. I don't need.
But then is that battle even happening now when people like don't care about striking out anymore and a bullpen person is coming in throwing 100 miles per hour?
Well, and they're only throwing 25 pitches and then they're out of here. I mean, the pitch count thing is wrecked everything.
Now.
Yeah, it's bad.
See, that's what we've come to.
So Dan, what do you know about sabermetrics and how can you defeat it?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure I have an instant answer for that.
That was a really confusing question.
Yeah. Let me think about that for a week and a half.
Okay. Well, we'll get back to you.
It's too slow. Trying to speed it up.
It's too slow. Yeah. You're pitch limited, Dan. We don't have a week and a half.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I'm actually trying to get an official copy of the 2022 rules of baseball just to see what else is in there that is maybe hidden inside the rules.
Well, you have to update your book, right? You have to get a new edition out with all these new rules.
Yeah, the trick there is it's going to be rules are going to be changing next year as well.
Yeah, because they're testing this stuff with moving second base in and all this kind of thing. Did you know that second base has never been 90 feet away? That this whole 90-foot bases thing has been a lie our entire lives. It's always been a little less than 90 feet. Like it has never been 90 feet from first to second or from second to third. Never. Not once. Not since Abner Doubleday. It's a lie. 90-foot bases are a lie.
So the people who created this was the people who created the Metro buses.
Yes.
Oh.
Wait, yeah. So
later in the show,
what are the things that are coming up that they're testing now in the minors? They're moving. They're going to move second base closer to the mound a little bit to cut down on that angle and make it a little shorter. I think this is to avoid the spikes and the collisions and stuff and the bang plays at second or something. What else is coming, Dan?
You know, I got to look into that. Give you an answer. There are a number of rules that I don't have off the top of my head that are being tested. But again, I sort of just throw up my arms and say, they got to be kidding.
Yeah, why are we doing this?
I'll tell you what's interesting, though. If you ever read the official rules of baseball, first of all, it reads like a legal document. But also you realize that a large portion of those rules are in place to prevent cheating. And prevent cheating because it's things that people used to try. Right. Like you can't like gather around the base and wave at the guy who's running towards it. Or you can't wear you can't wear buttons that have mirrors on them because you can reflect the sun into the batter's eye. And your uniform cannot have a baseball on it the size of a baseball because it will confuse.
That is so good.
Yeah. There's so many rules in there that makes me think baseball used to be super interesting.
Well, it must. I mean, obviously, in the early beginnings of it, right? People were always there was no rules; they were just making it up. But like, what about the rules?
They left work and they came to play.
Yeah, but like when the Blue Jays got the Sky Dome, and like all of a sudden you can lose the ball in the dome, and you couldn't see it. Like there was no rule against that. And of course, the Jays got used to being able to catch the ball in there, but visiting teams couldn't do it. Like that's a tremendous advantage. I don't know. Like there are people and I'm going to tell you, they're all Astros fans who think that cheating is part of baseball, trying to get as close to the rule or without going over or whatever. And that feels wrong to me, but it also feels kind of baseball to me.
Yeah.
The idea. I'm not sure about video replays. I'm on the fence about that. Probably negative.
I don't want robots
right.
calling balls and strikes. Yeah, they don't get it right. We were talking about. We had an example today. Our producer Brian also does sports video stuff for some of the local colleges, video production stuff. So he was at a game that he was working at, and this ball comes in from the pitcher, and it does not hit the batter. It lands in the mitt of the catcher behind the batter. And the batter sold it as if he got hit, and the ump gave him the base. And then they chatted about it and decided, no, he didn't get a base. It was just a ball. And like, that's where video matters, because that was right. They got the call right. Is it better to get it right, or is it better to be baseball?
Yeah, but you got to think like what is the goal of the runner going to first base? It is either to be safe at first base or to make the umpire think you are safe at first base.
Yeah, right.
And here's the reason now why it's tricky, and why, and baseball really kind of got ahead of this, why you almost have to get it right. Because all the sports leagues are in bed with the gambling now.
That's the problem.
And you got to get it right for that. And you know what that makes me think? How the hell does Pete Rose think right now? How the hell does Pete Rose? Pete Rose has to be furious right now, because the reason you got to get all this shit right is because people got all this money on DraftKings and FanDuel and
he never fixed Reds games. Like it was he bet, but he didn't fix it. He did not bet against himself.
He has to be. He's in Las Vegas somewhere.
He's in Vegas signing balls at $80 a pop. I don't know what the design feature of that is, but I know that's happening. I've seen him there.
Yeah.
But Pete Rose got to be furious about this.
Got to be serious about this now.
But that goes way back too. That sort of thing. One of the rules is that players cannot fraternize with people in the stands, which means you can't go and talk to your gambling buddies. Right up in the stands and say, we better do this, you better do that.
So when players toss a ball to some kid in foul territory, that's fraternizing. That's no good.
There's a rule that says you can't wear logos on your uniforms.
But the umpires got the crypto guys on the umpire. The umpires, the people who are supposed to make us feel good about the game, are supporting something that everybody's committing suicide now because they lost all the money.
Because it's fake money.
And probably next season they're going to put in brand logos just like the NBA,
NBA did. And NHL put it on the helmets. Yeah. So Dan, if
they're everywhere.
Started a chip chat cryptocurrency, which would be just as worthless as our show, could you design us a physical coin for that?
Oh yeah, I would love to do that.
What?
Yeah.
What would it feature?
Yeah. Do you need a physical coin for crypto?
No,
I think so.
I don't know why, but no, that might be the way we steal more money from folks.
Right.
We give them a physical item. No one gives you anything physical anymore.
Yeah, you want crypto chip chat coin?
It's a real coin.
Yeah, it's a chunk of metal designed by Dan.
Physical crypto. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
We got to have him on more often. Yeah. You're much funnier than we are.
Yes, hands down.
Well, I'm liking the laugh track.
I like it too.
We didn't know we could ever get laughs on the show.
Right.
Okay, so Dan, where can people follow you, get your stuff, read your books, and I mean all of this stuff?
Hey, you want to hear my idea about the hydraulic internet?
Yes.
Yes.
It's a series of tubes.
Connect all the plumbing systems in the world so you can get water from anywhere.
It seems like a great idea.
Climate change is going to do that anyways.
Yeah, we'll all be underwater. It'll be fine.
Okay, where can we get what?
No, I said climate change is going to do that anyway.
Where can we get?
I'm back to Chip.
I can't tell you that.
The internet. No, that's for him. Dan, tell everybody where they can follow you, watch your videos, get your books, do all of those things.
Okay, I've got really simple Instagram and Twitter feeds, it's my name, Dan Formosa. And oh, there it is right there. See, Dan Formosa. Just remember there's no dots in the Twitter or Instagram account. I am actually changing the name of my business, my consulting business, from my name to Think Act Human. 3 words, just connected, Think Act Human, because I think it reflects better of what I'm doing. And plus, I'm working more and more with other people. So having my name is just a little misleading. And yeah, or just call me up.
Or tune into Chip Chat, because you'll come back, won't you? We loved having you here.
Oh, yeah, I would love to come back. You guys do this every Thursday.
Every Thursday, literally every Thursday. Actually, I think we're right around Tez's 1-year anniversary.
Yeah, this is the 1 year I've been here.
You've been here a year now.
Yeah, it's fun times.
I
keep coming back.
Can you design him a bouquet or something?
Oh, yeah, or maybe a trophy for lasting with you for 1 year.
Yeah, you get it, Dan.
You're right on.
You get it.
But yeah, save that seat for me, and I'm not busy Thursday nights. So yeah, just hang out. Yeah, hey, I'm open.
I could think of nobody better for this show. I mean, he fits so perfectly.
The next time you're out, Dan, you can fill in.
Yeah. Yeah, you're in. You're a guest co-host now, whether you want to be or not.
All right, I'm in.
Awesome. All right, Dan, it is a school night, though, and we are running up against the clock, which is rarely enforced around here, but we're going to pretend it is for the sake of getting out of the break. We were close on
time last week.
Yeah, we
Brian wasn't here. That's why.
Brian wasn't even here.
That's the reason, obviously.
Hey, I'm shooting 2 more episodes next week. So, Epicurious.
Can you give us a preview?
Mixing and straining.
Mixing and straining.
Yeah.
Important.
And the UPS and the Amazon boxes are just showing up because I usually get them a couple of days ahead of time to try them out. But they do, they are chosen by the Epicurious team, and they generally are wacky gadgets that don't work. And I do try.
How many of those you can find out here?
When I was a kid, I would see gadgets in the store and stuff, and then like my grandmother would be like, "No, use a whisk, dummy." Like because it would work. Like, we've been using this for 100 years and it's fine.
As seen on TV.
Yeah. Love that.
Well, what's happening now? Now I'm a little bit involved in choosing gadgets. So at least they go over the list with me. And I said, we have to get a couple of things that work. Otherwise I look like the grumpiest person. I just hate everything. Boy, this guy doesn't like anything. But you have to realize the premise of the show is to find odd things that don't work. But now I think we're trying to mix it up a little bit.
Some of the pizza cutter things were pretty good. Those scissors were terrible, but the pizza cutter stuff, like 1 or 2 of them were pretty good.
Yeah, what's really fun is something that looks like it's not going to work and it actually is. Surprising.
Yeah, those are like gems when you find.
Yeah, that's a rare event, but it happens.
We're looking forward to the new videos. I cannot wait to watch them. So I'm subscribed, of course. I'm going to wait till it'll hit my YouTube feed and I'll be in. I'm so it's such an honor to talk to you.
I know. It's a great interview.
It's a great interview.
It's great to talk to both of you. Invite me back. I'll do it.
Yeah. See you next week, Dan.
Yeah, right. And we're off for the next 2 weeks, but we will call you probably in a couple of months, and we got to get you back.
You want me to fill in the 2 weeks you're out?
Yeah, right. Well, no, the network closed, upgrades or whatever. I don't know.
All right. See you soon.
They don't want to pay us.
That's true. Well, they would never.
They don't pay. They don't pay us.
All right, Dan. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We really appreciate it. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll do the third half of the show. You're listening to Chip Chat on Rip Radio Network.
Sweet.
Thanks, guys.
This is a photograph. A window to the past of your father on the front lawn with no shirt on, ready to take the world on beneath the West Texas sun. The year that you were born, the year that you are now. His wife behind the camera, his daughter and his baby boy, got a glimmer in his eye. So you say, this is what I'll miss after I die, and this is what I'll miss about being alive. My body, my curves, my
Rip Radio Network. I'm your host, Chip. With me is Tez.
Swips.
All right, so that was a great interview with
Such
Dan.
a good interview. Such a good
What a
interview.
fantastic guest. I cannot wait to see him again. This guy's amazing. We should probably just give him the show.
Yeah.
He's pro.
I mean,
40
obviously.
million views.
Exactly. We got
We
4.
like 6. Yeah.
Oh, you are generous.
We got up to 6. No, we're doing pretty well.
Wow.
All right, so now we want to talk about the primaries that happened. We had some primaries on Tuesday. We had North Carolina.
Yes.
We had Pennsylvania. We had actual Kentucky. We had, I don't know, yeah, a few other things. You didn't know about that one?
No,
Pennsylvania.
that's funny.
It's exactly what it means. So, like, here's some of the highlights and lowlights, let's just say. Highlights are John Fetterman won his primary against Connor Lamb for the Democratic side to run for the Senate seat that's being vacated by the retiring Pat Toomey, who in Pennsylvania.
This is the man who had a stroke?
Yes.
Yes.
And then, so he had a stroke like the night before
Right.
the primary, and he's getting a pacemaker put in the night of, and he wins. He was already gonna win.
Yeah.
Connor Lamb immediately threw his support behind him and said, we need Fetterman in the Senate. He's the right guy for the thing. The guy is 6'8", shaved head,
Yeah.
beard,
Tattoos, right?
tattoos, wears a hoodie and shorts. I mean, the Senate ain't ready for him.
Watch out, Kristen Cinema.
Yeah. And
For the
speaking of who else won,
best dressed.
won their primary, that Rand Paul won his, and I hope he has to sit next to Fetterman because he's going to be terrified. He's big dude, and Rand Paul's a little baby.
Go Cory Booker. I'm not Cory Booker.
Charlie Booker.
Charles Booker. Yeah.
So Charlie Booker wins in Kentucky to challenge Rand Paul. There's a chance. You know,
We'll see.
Kentucky's one of those ones that always kind of fools us
Yeah.
because, like, you know, if your last name is Bashir and you're a Democrat, you can win in Kentucky. But other than that, it seems like it might not. You know, we thought we had the badass fighter pilot, and even she couldn't win. So, the other thing that happened in Pennsylvania is that we're sort of waiting to see the answer on the Republican side of that primary. We had Dr. Oz, the Trump-backed candidate, against another insane right-wing person and a third insane right-wing person who it turned out was one of the rioters on January 6th. And we have footage of her being there at the Capitol smashing things. And they asked her about it, and she goes, no, that wouldn't be. And they go, you're the only black woman here. And she goes, I'm not black. And we go, okay.
All right.
Yeah. I know you think that these white supremacists are your friends because you're a Republican, but, you know, when they start chanting with the tiki torches and shit, they're going to come.
They were
and get you
going
too.
to hang Mike Pence.
Yes, but
Full
now
stop.
it'll be, and he's as white as you get. I mean, he's Wonder Bread white. I mean, that's tough. Mother would not allow him to be hung.
The same evangel. Never mind.
Nope,
Never mind.
not going
Never-
to.
never
Nope,
mind.
forget it.
Never mind.
We don't know who won that yet.
No. Not yet.
But if Dr. Oz wins, to be clear, he is a Turkish citizen. He's also a U.S. citizen, but he's still a Turkish citizen. Much like Ted Cruz, who is Canadian.
Much like me, who's British.
Much like you, who's got dual citizenship. He was an officer in the Turkish army. He has voted in Turkey as recently as 2018. So he is clearly
So he hates journalism.
yes, and he's not from Pennsylvania. He lives in New Jersey. As it turns out, we talked about this. Nutzi went out to go try to find where he lived in Pennsylvania and ran into a guy at a paint shop. And that was about the extent that she found. And then Rudy Giuliani butt dialed her because that's what happens if you're Olivia Nutzi. You just get butt dialed by Rudy all the time.
Hello?
Right. Can you find my phone? Why is my face melting? The other
It's the wrong vibrant.
big story is that Maddie Cawthorn,
Yeah, you're
my favorite person to beat up, is going to be out. He lost and surprisingly conceded. I did not see that coming. I was pretty sure that if he lost, he was going to fight and say, no, this is fake news. I really won. But he's just ready to roll out, I guess. Cawthorn he's out of here. I'm upset about this. I'll tell you why. The guy who's replacing him is a state senator. His name is Edwards, something Edwards. He, by all accounts, is fairly effective at his job. Cawthorn is a lunatic, but ineffective. He doesn't do anything. He doesn't advance any legislation. He doesn't write anything. He doesn't help any causes.
He does help causes.
Well, he helps our cause, right? He's a scandal-prone idiot, and it's easy to use him to paint the rest of his party. Now the guy that replaces him is going to be just as dangerous and evil, but probably low-key and not out there talking about cocaine orgies.
Glenn Youngkin.
He's Glenn Youngkin. That's exactly what it is. That's terrifying. It's bad.
They're setting.
And I lost a bet.
Yeah, you did lose that.
I lost a 6-pack on this.
Yeah.
I bet on Cawthorn. I thought that there was nothing, not even naked boy humping, that could make Trump Republicans not support their guy.
No, but I think that's what we're seeing is there's just a weird type of you don't really know. It's because
it's Trump candidates. Some have won, some have got completely creamed.
It's a crapshoot.
It's not well, okay, but to be clear, the folks that didn't carry Trump's endorsement wanted to.
Yes,
so,
no, yeah,
so if they're out there, they didn't win against a Trump supported candidate because they were like more moderate or reasonable. They won because they're either even more crazy or they're the same level of crazy but possibly competent. And so like this is bad all the way around. Like the Republican primaries, if they continue down this road, we're going to be up with that same question that we were in 2020, which is and in 2016, that like they're fielding candidates that are so extreme you'd think they aren't possibly electable in a general. And then it turns out they are, because this country is a bunch of extremists and they're fine with that. And so it's just, this isn't who we are. Yeah, it is. So there you go. That's the primaries. Congratulations to Madison Cawthorn, who will have his job on Fox News, I'm sure, in 5 seconds.
Yeah. Of course.
It's not going to finish out his term, right?
Why would you?
He'll just take the slow ramp down to Fox. What?
Right?
I killed Brian. That's Brian. Brian, if you laugh too hard, we might have to wheel you out of here in that chair. He's in a wheelie chair. That's the joke.
That is the joke.
You guys are the bad people, not me. All right. What's the Tez Talk this week?
We are returning to
Brian. Oh, stand
Look
by.
at these dead-ass birds. There you go, friends. Yes.
Dead-ass birds.
Dead-ass birds. Dead-ass people are coming soon, right?
Oh, good.
Yeah, there's 2 studies just again around how climate change is destroying our Earth, and probably the biggest issue for us as humans.
No, we have to worry about CRT.
Homo sapiens.
Have you not been paying attention?
CRT, Homo sapiens, is
Don't
not.
say, you can't say that.
The first part.
No. Yeah,
Friends.
No,
yeah, right?
They're not the Romans. They caused all this.
It's just
they're the original fascists. That's true.
Right. We already know, right? We know that climate change is a real thing. It's happening. Global warming is here. Actually, not everybody knows that.
Maybe.
But they said that there's the record heat that we've seen this spring in northern India and Pakistan is 100 times more likely to occur.
Yes.
Going forward.
And they have the computer models now where they can basically plug a weather event in and check if this is caused by climate change or not. And the answer is always yes.
And again, these record-setting temperatures, they're not going to go away. They're here to stay. And this is what got me. It says it shows the probability of setting such records without human influence is about once in every 312 years. But due to climate change, this is ballooned to once every 3 years.
Oh, cool.
So again, something that's
the once a century thing is now like
the once every 3 centuries.
Oh my God.
312 years happens every 3 years.
That's not good.
Widespread temperatures at or above 120 degrees Fahrenheit are just going to be annual occurrences. There's a separate study that
we should definitely put the World Cup in the Gulf.
Yeah.
Right.
Of course.
where the average temperature is 130 degrees in June.
Well, no, just do it in November.
Oh, then that's fine.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Right. Slave labor is great.
It said in one of these studies examined one of Japan's most damaging typhoons on record in 2019. And like that study, researchers affiliated with like just kind of the world weather attribution effort and found that human emissions of greenhouse gases made the extreme rainfall that the storm made landfall 67% more likely.
Jesus.
So again, it's not like these is like, oh, like we're maybe having like 10, 15%, like over 50% of the actions that we're having.
Not good. But Jim Inhofe had a snowball, so it's fine.
Yeah, and all right, so like no one cares about like those numbers here. Let's just talk about money, right?
Let's talk about
money, right?
You're about to do the thing. You're going to hold them to some sort of intellectual consistency.
I know, right? That's a
okay. Let's go ahead. Let's watch this exercise in futility.
So, in a stark finding, the study concluded that the effects of climate change boosted the storm's damage by at least $4 billion.
That's nothing.
$4 billion, right?
We can't like decide to spend that on baby formula. Let alone like destroying people's houses. That's fine. I'm sure the rich people will be very impacted.
A 2020 study found that $67 billion of Hurricane Harvey's damage could be pinned on climate change. $67 billion.
That's a lot of money. That's like 2 Twitters. Maybe Elon cares about it.
No, you have to give him a plan, though. You have to give him a plan.
We have to show that 5% of this isn't fake.
Exactly, right?
Yeah,
that's not the bots that are
It's not the bots making climate change.
I mean, with so many...
Do you want to borrow the space laser? Because you could use it. Maybe it'll help.
Does it cool things off?
Yeah, we can use it for that.
In reverse. Okay.
Yeah, just zap and it sucks heat out of things, I think. I don't know. I don't get to use it very often.
No, okay.
Yeah. Like, I had a barbecue a couple weeks ago. I used it then to light it.
Brisky goes from however many like hours to 20 minutes.
On a nice, low laser blast, like that. It's like a Star Wars, pew.
If they had the lasers, why aren't they blasting the Nazis?
Well,
I know that's
don't tell them.
Jesus Christ, you idiots!
We're busy doing important stuff like messing up,
collaborating with me,
with you
to go ahead
use the NFL to make people hate the flag. See, that's a distraction. So that really, what we'll do is
I'm reading this book, right? Obviously, right? It's about the Maroons in Jamaica.
Oh, I do like that subject. Yeah, it's a pretty interesting subject, and the Cubans too. It's a lot. Yeah.
The funny thing is that they just couldn't figure out. The Jews always, in anything I read, the Jews just keep getting blamed. They were like, the British were like, it's the Jewish people on this island that are selling them gunpowder that are hiding us.
Yeah, those Jews in the gunpowder. That's one of the things that we're known for. Gunpowder. It's like corned beef, rye bread, and gunpowder. It's the 3 ingredients in a bang up sandwich.
You guys are the common thread in anything I read in history.
Isn't that it?
The causing of the play. When white people can't figure out who else to play, when they can't play, who's collaborating? Well, who's collaborating with the blacks?
That is obviously their problem. Yeah.
Who collaborates with them at any time? That is the through line I'm seeing in history.
You want to know?
We're collaborating now to replace.
Yeah, and to do this terrible show. I think that. You know what the answer is? I figured this out. It's coleslaw. Okay? Right? Like, we won't eat a sandwich from a deli without coleslaw.
No.
It is against everything that is good and holy to have barbecue without coleslaw.
Right.
These are the 2 things. And coleslaw is the thing that unites our people more profoundly than anything. You can't have good barbecue without good coleslaw. I judge a barbecue place by their coleslaw. Right? I judge a deli by the coleslaw. That's a critical thing. And it is the thing that binds us together, much like the dressing of a coleslaw. There you go.
They would point the lasers at all of the Nazis, friends. Like if
we have an Iron Dome. I mean, we're choosing where we use it.
Well, putting the vaccine into salad dressing.
or coleslaw.
I can't talk about the state of Israel today.
No, we're not doing great.
I'm sorry, bro. We could be here till 12.
No, we're not doing great. No, I don't want to talk about them either.
Well, again,
that's not
you
me.
guys. You Jewish folks are from Brooklyn.
Yeah, the homeland.
The homeland.
My people come from Brooklyn, like the Dodgers.
Exactly.
All right, now we come to the segment called "Watch What They Do, Not What They Say," which I definitely stole from Rachel Maddow. The Supreme Court did have a ruling this week.
Bad.
So
how does Citizens United keep getting worse?
It got much worse. The
Right?
Supreme Court sided with, of all people, and I'm using people loosely, Ted Cruz on Monday in the majority's latest assault on the laws meant to fight political corruption. Their decision will enable campaign donors to funnel money into candidates' personal bank accounts, revealing a stunning indifference to the corrosive effects that could have on the nation and the governed public and all this stuff. Basically, the deal is
he wanted to get what, like 260 or something. It wasn't that much back.
It wasn't that much.
And then the Supreme Court said
you can unlimited.
Unlimited.
So the deal is you can spend your own money on your own campaign as much as you want. What Raphael did was he loaned his campaign money, and then he got donors to donate to the campaign to pay himself back. Okay. Now they are capped at what they can donate to the campaign, but the bundlers can certainly get their ways around that. And so this money that they're quote unquote donating to the campaign is going directly into his personal bank account. And it's after the fact. It's after the election. It is the most obvious way to bribe somebody you could possibly imagine, short of here's a cake made out of money. Like, I don't understand why they think this is somehow legal. But they have decided
it
that
is
it is
legal.
Right.
The highest court in the land.
So what are we going to do about it?
This whole John Roberts and the trying to keep the court, like, anyways.
He gave us Citizens United.
Yeah, it kick rocks barefoot.
Right. Yeah. So we should donate to Bernie's campaign constantly and just get him to take a loan. What do you mean I got to take a loan? I'm not loaning my campaign, nothing. And then you'd be like, Bernie, it's a scam. We're going to just give you money. I don't want the money. What do I need? $57?
We need
my dry cleaning budget for the year.
We need a McChip Tez Gold Act.
I mean, why not?
I mean, it's just as good as McCain Feingold. Yeah. It's just as good, right?
We're going to start a cryptocurrency. We're going to get a super PAC. We're going to get as many people as we can to donate to us. We'll do whatever the fuck we want with the money. Fly Dan down from New Jersey every week to be on the show.
Yeah, exactly.
And it'll all be legal. Maybe we can pay Ted Cruz to fuck off. This ruling might give us, okay, here's the deal. All right, GoFundMe right now. What's the amount of money it would take to send Ted Cruz to Cancun permanently? $23? $24? Can't be much. He'd leave on a drop of a hat, right? Give him some Dr. Seuss books and off he goes. And some maple syrup because he's Canadian.
Yeah.
Also, the coup. Now, look, we were going to talk about the fact that there's some stuff that's going on in the coup, but none of that's interesting now because of what happened today. Is that a congressman who has the incredibly improbable name of Gary Loudermilk, which is a fantastically ridiculous name, was subpoenaed by the January 6th committee because he did what?
He didn't give the tour.
He gave a tour. He did give on a tour. January 5th when the Capitol was closed. And he gave a tour for COVID. Gave a tour to somebody who then attacked the Capitol on the 6th.
Is it going to matter?
The man inside.
But is it going to matter?
Well, they're going to show everybody that this is what happened. No, it's not going to matter.
I can't wait to voters in
Georgia are probably going to vote for him harder.
I can't wait to these public hearings so we can relive the trauma again. And then the midterms come and then, you will feel that things aren't going right. And
people in Georgia are already willing to commit voter fraud on behalf of Republicans because the handful of cases that we did find were on their behalf. They'll vote for Loudermilk extra because they'll consider him a hero because he helped the Proud Boys try to kill Nancy Pelosi or whatever. I mean, the whole thing is just abysmal.
We are moving very closely to being
FUCT.
Turkey and Hungary.
Well, yeah, except that Turkey has this history of the military knocking over these, autocrats, and we're like, no, democracy. And then when they tried that most recently with Erdogan, he killed them all.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
All right, the last section tonight is called "What's the Matter with You," which I was very proud of myself for
That's
writing.
good. I like
That's
that.
pretty good, right? So WMATA is Metro.
I don't like this bell. I need the old one.
Here's your bell. WMATA is, there you go,
Better sound.
is our metro system that they run the buses and the trains and maybe the streetcar.
It's the one oddity that, with the change of demographics in DC and gentrification taking over, that public transportation got worse.
Yeah.
But you know what?
Which is weird.
It's because you bring in all these folks and they never had a plan for this. And
they won't ride the bus. White people don't ride the bus.
That's starting to change. There's a couple brave souls that
Urban
get on.
pioneers.
There's a couple brave souls that I see on there, and they sit down and they're very closed in.
I mean, I rode the bus for years because I didn't have any other way to get around.
The way, if you want to see what a city really is
ride the bus.
Ride the bus.
Okay, so WMATA is, they've been having some troubles and stuff, but they have
What the fuck are y'all doing?
There's something going on, right?
Jesus Christ.
So the general manager, Paul Wiedefeld, who's been there for 6 years and by all accounts had really done a lot to turn the agency around and I think was doing a fairly good job. All of a sudden he announces he's retiring or he's leaving, and then he, like, out of the blue moves this way up and just quits
because the story was coming.
And the COO also quits.
They knew what was happening.
And then the next day we find out that half of the train operators hadn't been certified for a year. But that's still not that bad. There is something.
The people who drive the trains are not certified.
They're not certified.
That's not as bad as the axle being fucked up on the new train.
On the 7,000.
I try not to fucking. I try not to go in on WMATA because it seems sometimes such as low hanging fruit. But again, this is the nation's capital, right? This is the most powerful city in the whole damn world.
That's true.
The whole damn world. Beijing and Shanghai, they're closed down.
No,
all right, they still never win that. They can't do anything.
Right. London's not even in the EU anymore.
The trains don't run on time
or on the tracks.
On the tracks,
they run wherever they want.
Don't run on and
they're building more streetcar line. What is the dumbest fucking thing on the planet?
What any regular society, just what they want is for the buses and trains to run on time.
We actually
or to operate
that euphemistically for like basic governance. I just want the trains to run on time, and they don't run at all. They had to take all of them out of service. But
me and my daughter, we drive. We take the train, and I make that joke a lot. I drive a BMW. It's bus, metro, and walking.
Right.
And we drive past the rail yard in Rhode Island Avenue, and she's like, "Daddy, the broken trains." And I'm like,
that's right.
Because sometimes, because at like 7:30, between 7:30 and 8, as you're like starting to ascend up from New York Avenue Station or Union Station, going to Rhode Island Avenue, it's just all these new trains.
They're gleaming in
the sun, sitting there.
And they're not even painted metro livery.
Axles.
Like they're bright, shiny silver. Like you can see all of them. And the
now
axles are out of tolerance.
You've put back in the dirty carpet trains.
Yep.
And you know what? Those trains, the
orange and brown and yellow ones, and they worked.
They work.
They're good trains.
Here, I don't even have the plan of what Metro needs to do, but here's what it starts with. One, maybe for a 4-year period, all this shit is free. Like at this point,
I mean they stopped.
The free part I question because I keep seeing
the governments of this what like DMV area, or DC metro area for being specific.
That's how
they need to fund everybody. There's no way, because here's a few
All
things
right,
you
well,
need
to Wiedefeld's credit, that is one of his greatest accomplishments, is that he did get the dedicated funding stream from all 3 jurisdictions. They did
with
vote
the
that
wage
in.
works and like how the business is in the
They got
and
dedicated funding from
yes.
Maryland, Virginia, and the district. And that has been a problem that Metro hasn't had for 30 years. So he did that.
all that federal government money that comes in. Obviously we need to buy new trains. We
Right.
just bought these trains. You can't, because again, what you really can't afford, you can't afford another Fort Totten.
No. We can't have another red line accident. We cannot have.
You can't afford that.
Accordion trains.
Yeah,
No.
you just can't. And also, too, like I see on Metro again, I take this every day. Right, people are just breaking open the things to go, and I don't even have an issue with it, because why would you pay for this shit right now?
Right.
I drink my coffee on the stage. I wish one of you motherfuckers would come up and ask me a question about your drinking on the station, eating. Hey, you might have been able to tell me that shit 20 years ago. Get the fuck out of here now with this
Right,
shit.
of course.
Shithole of a transportation
barely
system.
works.
It barely works. The least I can do is drink some fucking water or a cup of coffee on
They
here.
let you have water now. They did change that rule.
But anybody who's skipping the fare, go ahead and skip the fare. But what you need to do is you need to give folks a method, whether it's a free smart trip or anything, just a method of, even if they're getting free money for it, of actually tapping the fare card and opening the gate. Because what we're about to have is a bunch of fucking gates that don't work because people are just ripping them open.
Well, you noticed the newer ones, right?
Oh yes, I've seen the new ones. Yeah.
So not all the stations have those yet, which I can see that. My issue, let's put it this way, I don't agree with the free fare because I keep seeing the youngins skipping over like it's jumping.
But why should they pay?
I think
why should they pay?
Why should they pay? Because someone has to pay for these.
Yeah, me and you should pay. They shouldn't pay.
But the fares.
You don't see the fact of having teens who keeps jumping over. The
kids should have
gates.
free Metro cards.
They should have free Metro,
card.
and they should get
I
into
give them that, but not to have them jump over the damn gate.
No, if they had a free one, they wouldn't.
They have a free one, they wouldn't, and they would use the system. If you give them a card that has money on it, they would tap on it.
But let's add to this fact. It's not just the teens. I've seen
people.
Adults
Yeah, I'm gonna say that.
I see adults. Do
Adults
if
are doing
the system doesn't work, we shouldn't have to pay for it. Number one. Number two, the fares have never supported the system. Right? They're basically ancillary money. It's all government funding from the 3 jurisdictions.
So go all the way.
There's no reason they shouldn't just make it a public service, because transportation is a public service. You don't see them putting tolls on the 14th Street Bridge, right? Not yet. But
technically there are. The lanes are there.
Okay,
for the
but whatever. You get what I'm saying. Yeah. Like, that's a road that we consider that conveyance somehow necessary, but the Metro somehow we got to pay for it. There is something. There is another shoe that's about to drop, because the rats don't jump off a ship that fast unless there's something coming.
But what
I don't know what's
coming.
coming.
Shoe like what? We already know.
Remember, we had the command
there's
center.
An overtime issue there.
There's an overtime issue. We had the command center. There was hostile work environment.
Yeah.
If anybody tried to do anything, they got fucking canned or whatever.
Post article. The Post brings out an article every 3 years on Metro.
And we've got the sexual harassment issues was going on with the operators. We've got the operators aren't certified. There is a reason that this happened. When Wiedefeld announced that he was leaving the agency, that was confusing, because he had, by all public measures, been pretty good for Metro. So what is it?
The pandemic
that's about to drop.
Well, but even before that, there's no reason to stay after like the pandemic destroys ridership and then the trains don't work. Why would you stay in that job?
I think you think it's a 7,000. You think
that 7,000 series change?
Do you think there's going to be
the money they spend on that is insane?
Do you think there's going to be some email or something that it turns out that they got warned that the wheels didn't meet the tolerances, and that we said push ahead
full
with it
steam
anyway?
ahead?
I think that might be one of the things, because if that came out, that would answer why he's got to go.
Everything around what Metro wants to accomplish, whether it's the developments around their stations, right? Whether it's the land that's around their stations that they own, it all is predicated on the trains working.
Right.
It all starts.
It all has to work.
And there's a time that I'm gonna have to struggle to tell people about when the Metro train. That was a high level of transit.
It was the gleaming, shining example of regional. Like, we used to laugh at New York. Our trains stop at midnight, but at least they're air conditioned and they clean them every day. And there's no graffiti and nobody pees in them. You know, like it was a thing. I remember we got our first above ground station in Virginia. I was there. The lieutenant governor came and spoke. It was a big deal. I'm old.
Again, we'll take it back to climate change. Public transportation is what we
The
need.
only solution.
These dead-ass birds. There it is. There it is.
All right, so you hear that music, which means we've come to the end of the show, late as
Thank
per
God.
usual.
Jeez, I'm angry.
Thanks to Dan for talking to us. I'm the biggest fan. I can't wait to have him back. Thank you to our esteemed producer, Brian, who's back after we had to endure the CEO himself. That was miserable. I hope he listens to this later. Thanks to our radio partners, Truth Social, Elon's Phone, and InfoWars. Thanks to NOTN for keeping us on for another week. And thanks to our home on the interwebs, coplaymedia.com. And thanks, as always, to our family here at Rip Radio for making us sound as smooth as... You know, I really wanted to do like another Madison Cawthorn joke here, but I feel like we may have beaten that until it was paralyzed. So I'm just going to say that it's as smooth as Amber Heard's trial. Where can everybody get you on the socials there, Tez?
Right. Yeah, exactly. You can find me on Instagram at Ketchum Courtney. You can find me on Twitter at DC Cortez, and you can find me at a metro station waiting for a long time in rush hour because you have waiting for 20 minutes.
And you're not getting on that 7,000 series.
They weave them in. Here's the other
They've
one
been
here.
weaving those
They're
cars
weaving them in. Here it is now. Lately, you get in front of a train, and there's like a whole section of the train that doesn't open. Like this train in front, and then the next car doesn't open.
Because it doesn't operate. Or the AC doesn't work. All right. You can find me on the Twitter and the show on the Twitter at ChipChatRR, and you can find us on Facebook or Instagram at RipChipChat. You can, of course, find us every Thursday night, except for the next 2 Thursday nights, so we're going to be off on RipRadioNetwork.com, I guess. We're here. I don't know, wherever we are.
I think we relaunched on
9:30.
Roku.
Yeah. I think we're
I don't
back
know.
on Roku.
Maybe that might be fake news.
Get the app.
Yeah.
Or don't. Whatever. RipRadioNetwork.com. That's
There
where
you
you
go,
can get
dude.
us.
There
We're
it
going to
is.
be here every Thursday
We got a
night.
website.
I'm Chip. That's Tez. You've been listening to Chip Chat on Rip Radio Network.
God damn it, Mormata.
I'll eat Mitch McConnell.
And what?